Hey, what's up? This is Bill Bryan. You're watching 180 with Worm. Let me do it not as weird. What's up? This is Beaker. You're watching 180 with Worm. 180 with Worm, I said. Yes! You got my voices going, bro. One more. All right. Hey, what's up, guys? This is Bill Bryan. You're watching 180 with Worm.
Say hello to the worm. Say hello to the worm. Say hello to the worm. Hello, wormy.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to the next episode of 180 with Worm, powered by Elevate. I am so stoked to have skimboarding legend, professional skimboarding world champion, my bro, Bill Beaker Bryan. What's up, brother?
How's it, Wormy?
It's good. I've been waiting to do this with you for so long, so I'm so stoked you're here. So let's start here. Solag roots, born and raised in Solag. It's a blessing to be raised in this community, but for you, growing up on the slopes down there at Vic, starting at a young age as an amateur, let's start with there. How was it being able to start skimming down to Victoria Beach with all the legends?
Oh, it was amazing. It seemed like the biggest sport in the world. I was just lucky enough to be at the epicenter at the time, and guys like Hendy and the Westguards and Tex and a whole slew of like adolescents at that era, like the Dylan Rigdons and the Tommy Traegers and all that, and to be able to look up to them, it just was my favorite thing to do was emulate them on the beach.
We've got the guys like the Westguards and Kyle Treadway and Hendy and obviously Traeger, and along comes this guy named Bill Bryan. This scrawny little kid that could do everything and never fall on a skimboard. But in all seriousness, you came onto the pro scene and you changed the whole game. Walk me through that. I mean, we're talking over 100 professional wins, 14 Vic titles, 9-time UST champion. You set all the record books. But in the beginning, humble beginnings, what was it like kind of emerging onto the scene as this young pro?
I just every year kind of gauged off people, and I kind of for years I called it like a trainer, a trainee. It would be like whoever ended up getting second place in the contest was usually who I was skimming with the most. Like when you and I were roommates, and you and I got first and second. And
Yes.
Ivan before that. I know
We're
you
going to
wanna
end the
talk-
show right now. Just end the
Let's
show
talk
right
about
now. Well, I think that was the difference. I think you thrived under competition, and most successful athletes do that. They elevate their game. I mean, when you win 5 in a row, twice at the Vic, so 14 competitive wins, I'm going to say it again, but 2 times he went 5 in a row. So that's sickening. A lot of guys just won it once. And I've always said that it's our national championship, and I don't want to downplay any of the other contests because there's so many, but how special was it winning the Vic and kicking it off down there at the home break at Elisa?
Well, it was totally dream come true, but didn't even believe it because I just thought it might, it was like a farther off thing that was going to happen later. And so when I won at 18, I was like just over the moon, man. I couldn't even believe it.
Then things start to change. The guys are riding the wedge. I know. Let's go back to 10th Street. So you got the Wizard, you got the Joneses brothers and Conley and all the boys. But all of a sudden, when you were riding the cider, when I was watching, I was like, he's busting. You're doing tricks where people are going for normal survival mode. Just want to grab rail and survive. That was changed the game completely, despite the fact that we never even had a contest down there. But sidewash skimming and taking it to the wedge, how big was that?
That was the part that hooked me for life, like the walking on water thing, the side wave. It's not as brutal as skimming shore break every single day, so it really enables you to go for it more, landing in the water. That and also it gets like non-skimboarders like skimboarding. When they see a longer ride, they can relate to it more. Yeah. So it grew our sport. We got on television when we made a video about 10th Street because it wasn't just that quick ride, that it was really took a keen eye to see what was going on. But when Sidewash came around and we started riding it, people started thinking, hey, this is an Olympic sport. What's going on here? This is amazing.
So now you and your brother George are making vids and putting skimboarding on the map. We had publications out there. We had our local contests, but there are only a few. So unless you skimmed the Vic or went back to the East Coast Championship or did the Sandy Beach contest or maybe the one up in Malibu, this is kind of the 80s, you guys, and the things kind of starting to happen. You guys are cranking out these vids, and the influence and the inspiration you had on the younger generation, the Kuda G's and the Grady's, and I mean, there's too many names to list. If I let your name out, I'm sorry. That's got to make you feel pretty good, but from there, it just skyrocketed. It just took off.
Yeah, I credit it to like the guys before me that found the wedge as a skimboard break in 10th Street, and and Tex and all those guys, there would have never been anything if they didn't make those boards first and make something for me to believe in, like that contest, and have at least some community going, because I knew that skimboarding was going to be there for me and that it needed to grow to be a full-time thing.
They were literally training videos, how to skim videos for so many people, especially for a lot of the East Coast guys that didn't have the luxury of skimming the steep shore break here in Laguna Beach, the epicenter of modern day skimming. And I mean, it's the North Shore of skimming. And before we got exposed to Cabo and other places, and with, of course, Hawaii has always had its great skimming. But talk about how much did Gio push you, having your younger brother, and we know he won a title in '96, but I'm sure having a younger brother pushing you, and he was pushing, you were pushing him. What was that like?
That was really what made it like a lifer thing for sure. Like I'd always come home to George, and then he would know where it was going to be good, and we would get right back to business if I was ever gone. He was holding it down.
Yeah.
There's places like the Wedge that he went before me and paved a good vibe that enabled me to come in and kind of, you know, get away with being a little bit flashy or whatever, but because I had him as like the super soul daddy, bro daddy,
Yeah.
shaking the body surfer's hand before I got there.
Yeah, Romanowski breaking the ice.
So he'd break that ice, bro. It's such a good vibe and there was such a good team, and whenever he needed me to step up and use my extra energy to do this or that. So the videos would be non-existent. You can't really do a project like that on your own. You need a community, and since this is such a labor of love, that I don't think I could have found another 25-year partner on a break-even business. But finally, like right when everybody says you can never make any money in skimboarding, we're making some pretty good sales because we stuck with it. We got a 25-year anniversary key. And every once in a while, you get paid to go skimboarding, and you're like, "See, Mom!"
It worked out. Most people recognize you as a professional skimboarder, probably the GOAT, greatest of all time, but you were a professional surfer. You did snowboarding. You were an awesome skateboarder, pretty much any board sport. And a lot of people don't know, you skim regular, surf goofy, so it was really, not I wouldn't say easy, but natural probably when you started riding your snowboard to learn the switch tricks. Yeah. And you were doing switch tricks and different things on skimmers that nobody did. But then this thing called the wave lock comes along, and that was an opportunity for the best board riders in the world. So we had Terry Hawkinson, you had Tony Hawk, Chris Miller, Christian Fletcher, Bill Bryan, and there was a windsurfer and other guys I'm sure you'll tell me. But that artificial wave, which you won, and you went around the world to Munich and to Florence, Italy. How heavy was that, being part of that whole scene with all those guys?
That was like the kind of the culmination of all the hard work of digging skimboarding up and sticking with it, even though it wasn't like there was no direct path to rock stardom being a skimboarder. But
Right.
somehow, just through all the board sports training, I got invited to Tony Hawk skims, and he knew that I would do well in that wave because he went there first. And so it was really nice of him to invite to me to help bring skimboarding up, because it's so similar to skimboarding that we did really well in that wave and got a ton of exposure because it was such a big deal and Swatch put so much effort into it. And it was kind of like the hype was almost as big as the Kelly Slater wave pool is
It
now.
was,
If
it
you can
really
imagine,
was, yeah.
It's 20 years ago, and it was an artificial wave, and everybody wanted to be on it, and I was able to help people get to ride it and get free time on it and share boards and ideas after going in and doing battle. And I drew out my runs, and I read this book about bullfighting, because it was the most scary thing ever, was this contest coming up against my heroes, and if you fall, it's like over.
It's over,
And
yeah.
it's such a fickle little board with all that water, and the machine's half broken by the end of the week.
Oh, every time.
And you're just going, oh my gosh, why you put so much pressure on me? So you just like wake up the next day, you're like, I did it. It's just such a dream state to beat Tony Hawk in a contest. I don't even remember it.
We go full circle. It's 2018, and you look at the skimmers today. I mean, how much do you think the sport has changed from just professional days when Tommy won it in '87 and '88 to, you know, your thrust onto the scene in the early '90s at the professional level, to the young Groms now? I mean, what do you like about the sport, and what do you like when you look at these young guys skimming today?
I mean, they're just totally gnarly how good they are. They're like, oh my gosh, too good.
There's so many good guys. Do
No,
you
what's
have a favorite guy you like? I mean, that
mean-
you look at, that you admire, and you go, that guy.
Well, there's about 10 guys that are out of this world good, and whoever is getting the least amount of recognition is always going to be the one I want to see get the best wave. So it's like Johnny Weber was so unknown that I was just on the Weber team, and
Yeah.
ever since Blair was like 5, I was like, okay, when's he gonna be 20? That's when the party's over.
Yeah.
Like the first time I saw him skim, I was like, set my watch. I'm all, that guy is trouble.
BCS, Teddy V, the same thing. We all knew.
And those are my favorite guys because they were like my little brothers when I was down here pounding the most pavement and the day to day. Like we would get Brandon to skip school to shoot for like ESPN or something.
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, those was like some super legendary era when they were little tykes, and now they're all grown up and running stuff around here. I'm really proud of all of them.
Well, I know we talk all your accolades in and out of the water, but I'm sure you're passionate like a variety of different things and tremendous artist. A lot of people don't know, but I've seen some great posts. Bill Bryan Arts, tell me about it.
My father was a prolific artist, and I grew up in Laguna Beach around people like you that just have it coming out of your palms like nothing. And so we have like a pretty well, everybody in town has a great base coat. It's almost like going to art school, just being from here. And so, and as I traveled and doodled, people out of town would notice and want to like buy my stuff because it was like, oh my God, they were like, dude, this is like a B in Laguna Art School. You know?
Not even, your stuff's killer. It's
Well,
like,
that's after putting 10 years into it. I realized there was potential because like here, my dad was like, hey, I'm going to do art in Newport. There's no galleries. There's 88 galleries in Laguna. So like the knowledge is here, the schooling is here. Maybe it's so competitive that so my art does better elsewhere where I have skin fans, and maybe one day I'll sit at the Sawdust all summer, but I'd rather sit at the Cider. I'm still not there yet.
if people want to get the 10th Street Bros key, or they want to check out Bill Bryan Arts, where do they go? Do they find you on Instagram?
Instagram's the easiest. Yeah.
And what's the
Bill
handle?
Bryan, at Bill Bryan,
Okay.
at Bill Bryan Arts.
Killer. I'll post
At
that up.
Geo Bryan.
Yep, got to get that one in
And
there.
so we're just doing it right through our own Instagram. You get to meet us, talk to us. We make friends, like your pictures.
It's turbo time
Oh,
with
no,
Worm.
I
It's
heard
random
about
question.
turbo
Yeah,
time.
so here we go. Easy one. Chocolate shake or vanilla shake?
Chocolate.
Okay, killer. Front side, back side, or switch?
Front side.
Favorite wave to skim in the world?
Sanunga. I haven't been there yet, though.
If you could do anything on a skimboard that you've never done, what would it be?
15th world title.
Oh, good answer. Ow, I just wrecked my ankle. I got a shinner here. How beautiful is Soleil Garden Studios?
All time.
It's the best. What do you want to say to your family?
Thank you. Love you guys.
All right, that's going to wrap up this episode of 180 with Worm, powered by Elevate. Bro, this has been so awesome talking story with you, and I hope everyone enjoys it because you truly are a legend. You truly changed the course of skimboarding, and everyone is so grateful for it, and I know I am, and it's great to be your brother, great to be your friend. Love you a lot. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Soleil Garden Studios. How epic is this? We got so much honor to be stoked on. And this will be the longest episode in 180 with Worm history. But I got to do it because Beaker's got so much to say, and I hope you listen. So,
Dude, thanks,
aloha.
Worm. You're the man. You've made so much good headwind in our sport, and
Yes.
me personally, that I could never say it in words, man.
Okay.
I gotta give you a hug.
Killer. We're out. We're going skimboarding. I'm out of here. Later.